Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we'll try to discuss the top 10 important topics for prelims for the UPSC CSE 2025 for the day from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB. Displayed a list of topics which we have chosen for today's discussion. The first article is from the PIB, which says that India has made significant strides in the global digital landscape, evidenced by improved ranking in the Network Readiness Index 2024, where the country now stands at 49th position, up from 60th in the 2023 report. Significantly, this remarkable leap of 11 positions reflects India's growing role as a leader in the digital transformation, driven largely by robust government initiatives. In this context, we'll talk about NRI 2024. So, what is the purpose of releasing this index? See, it evaluates the network readiness of 133 economies based on 4 variables, which are technology, people, governance, and impact. Furthermore, it ranks based on 54 variables measuring connectivity, innovation, and digital transformation. If we have to talk about India's performance in the NRI 2024, see, the overall score improved from 49.93 in 2023 to 53.63 in 2024. Talking about the global rankings, India stood first in AI scientific publications, AI talent concentration, and ICT services exports. And India stood second in FTTH subscriptions, mobile broadband internet traffic, and internet bandwidth. And third in domestic market scale. Lastly, India stood fourth in annual investment in telecommunication services. Furthermore, in the lower middle income group, India ranks second, leading digital transformation in its income category. See, there are various government initiatives driving India's digital transformation. The first one is the Digital India program, which was launched with an objective to transform India into a digitally empowered society. Speaking of its achievements, the internet subscribers increased from 25.1 crore to 94.4 crores. And also it resulted in enhanced digital literacy and online accessibility of government services. Secondly, the BharatNet initiative, which aims to connect the 2.5 lakh gram panchayats with high-speed broadband. The outcomes of it are expanded rural internet access, improved delivery of e-governance, education, healthcare, and agricultural services. Then the 5G rollout and future telecom technologies. See, India launched 5G services in 2022. So the global ranking improved from 118th to 15th in mobile broadband speed. Next, the Bharat 6G vision focuses on AI, IoT, and blockchain innovation and aims to position India as a global 6G leader. Then the National Digital Communications Policy of 2018, which envisions to create a vibrant digital economy. Significantly, its key features are broadband for all and to boost job creation and investment in telecom. Then we also have PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan of 2021, National AI Strategy of Niti Aayog, Skill India Initiative, and PMG Disha. The next article talks about the Hamara Samvidhan, Hamara Samman. Firstly, talking about the Hamara Samvidhan, Hamara Samman campaign. See, it was launched on January 24th of 2024 by the Honorable Vice President of India. The primary objective of it is to celebrate 75th year of India as a republic and the adoption of the Constitution. So, the purpose for which it was launched was to enhance constitutional awareness, legal literacy, and citizens' understanding of the fundamental rights and duties. Notably, it is structured to be year-long pan-India campaign with decentralized outreach through regional events and online initiatives. Now, moving on to talk about Hamara Samvidhan, Hamara Samman portal. The purpose of it is to provide legal and constitutional knowledge and then to promote public awareness about rights, duties, and legal protections under the Constitution. Looking at the features of it, first, it has comprehensive content on the Constitution, fundamental rights, and duties. Also, it has interactive tools like quizzes, crosswords, and participation activities like preamble reading and Panch Pran. Lastly, over 1.29 lakh citizens participated in Panch Pran activity. Furthermore, these are the sub-schemes under it. You can have a look. The next article is in the context of the She-Box portal recently launched by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Firstly, talking about the Sexual Harassment at Workplace of 2013 Act. See, the objectives of it are firstly to provide protection to women against sexual harassment at workplace, and secondly to prevent and redress complaints related to sexual harassment. Know that it is applicable to all women regardless of age, employment status, nature of work, or whether they are employed in public or private sectors, organized or unorganized sectors, and even the rural or urban areas. Furthermore, it mandates employers of workplaces with more than 10 employees must constitute an internal committee. Also, the district administrators must constitute local committees for workplaces with fewer than 10 employees and cases where the complaint is against the employer. Know that the Ministry of Women and Child Development is the nodal ministry for the implementation and monitoring of the Act. Furthermore, it issues advisories to ministries, departments, and state or union territory administrations for effective implementation. Lastly, it also organizes workshops and awareness programs for sensitization. Moving on to talk about the SheBox portal. See, it was launched on October 19th of 2024 with a purpose to create a centralized repository for, firstly, data on internal committees and local committees, secondly, complaints received and at their disposal status, and lastly, accessible to workplaces in state or union territory administrations and the private sector. Moving on to talk about its features. See, it has an online complaint registration system. Also, it serves as a resource for monitoring ICs and LCs. And lastly, it is developed under the provisions of the Sexual Harassment Act. So, currently 9 complaints were received since the portal's launched, and a majority of central ministries and departments have onboarded the portal. The next article says that India Space Research Organization set the astronauts and the group captains Subhanshu Shukla and Prashant Balakrishnan Nair, who have been selected for the upcoming Axiom-4 mission to the International Space Station, have completed the initial phase of training. In this context, we'll talk about the Axiom-4 mission. See, the Axiom-4 is the 4th mission by the private space company Axiom Space in collaboration with the NASA. Know that the spacecraft would be launched by a SpaceX rocket. Notably, the mission aims to continue Axiom Space's pioneering efforts to establish a sustainable human presence in the lower Earth orbit. Know that it has 3 main objectives. Firstly, it will enable the commercial activities in space, showcasing viable business platforms. Secondly, its diverse international crew will boost global space partnerships. And lastly, it supports microgravity experiments in the materials science, biology, and Earth observation. Now, if you have to look at the key features of the mission, firstly, with respect to the spacecraft and crew, see, the mission will use a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft launched atop a Falcon 9 rocket. So the crew will consist of professional astronauts and private individuals, including the researchers and potentially tourists who have undergone rigorous training for the mission. Then with respect to the duration and activities, so the Axiom-4 is expected to be a short duration mission lasting approximately 14 days. Notably, during their time aboard the International Space Station, the crew will conduct scientific experiments, perform technology demonstrations, and engage in educational outreach. Then, with respect to the commercial space station development, so the Axiom for Space's long-term vision includes building the world's first commercial space station. Know that the Axiom-4 mission is part of the company's broader plan to eventually transition from the ISS to their own independent orbital outpost. Significantly, this collaboration between the ISRO, Axiom Space, and NASA is a major leap forward in international space cooperation. The next article says that the National Green Tribunal directed the Central Pollution Control Board to prepare detailed pan-India guidelines for silica sand mining and silica washing plants within 3 months. In this context, let us first talk about NGT and then about the CPCB. See, the NGT is a statutory body established under the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. Significantly, its objective is to provide effective and expeditious disposal of cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources, and the enforcement of legal rights pertaining to the environment. In general, the NGT flows from the right to a healthy environment as a fundamental aspect of the right to life under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Moving on to talk about its powers, see, the NGT has the authority to hear and decide cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources, and enforcement of any legal right relating to the environment. Furthermore, it possesses both a civil and criminal jurisdiction, allowing it to hear cases related to environmental violations and offences. Additionally, NGT has jurisdiction over all civil cases under the following mentioned acts. Significantly, the NGT Act outlines penalties, including the imprisonment up to 3 years, fines up to 10 crore rupees, or even both, based on the violations of nature and seriousness. Also, the NGT has a unique forum status, granting it the authority to take up environmental issues nationwide without awaiting specific case filings. Furthermore, the NGT can review and challenge decisions, acts, or omissions of the government or any public authority that have caused environmental harm. Now, moving on to talk about the Central Pollution Control Board. See, it is a statutory organization which was constituted in September 1974 under the Water Prevention and Control Act of 1974. Furthermore, the CPCB was entrusted with the powers and functions under the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981. Significantly, it serves as a field formation and also provides technical services to the Ministry of Environment and Forests of the provisions of the Environmental Protection Act of 1986. If we have to look at the principal functions of the CPCB, the first one is to promote cleanliness of streams and wells in different areas of the states by prevention, control, and abatement of water pollution. Secondly, to improve the quality of air and to prevent, control, and or abate air pollution in the country. Notably, one of the CPCB's key initiatives is the National Air Quality Monitoring Program, which aims to track the air quality status and its trends across India. The next article says that with the slow-moving weather system gathering pace, the Regional Meteorological Center of Chennai announced the cyclone Fengal will cross the coast close to Puducherry by Saturday afternoon. In this context, let us talk about the cyclone. See, cyclones are atmospheric disturbances characterized by a low pressure center and swift destructive air circulation. Note that these weather phenomena are often accompanied by violent storms and adverse conditions. Significantly, cyclones are notable for their distinct circulation patterns. So, in the northern hemisphere, air circulates inward in an anti-clockwise direction, whereas in the southern hemisphere, air circulates inward in a clockwise direction. Now, how are these cyclones formed? See, the life cycle of a tropical cyclone is divided into 3 stages. So, the first stage is the formation and initial development stage. See, the formation of a cyclone storm depends on specific conditions. They are: first, they need a warm sea surface where the temperature is greater than 26 degrees centigrade up to a depth of 60 meters. So, it facilitates the evaporation of water vapor into atmosphere. Then we need atmospheric instability, which promotes the formation of massive vertical cumulus clouds. Furthermore, the rising air cools and condenses above the ocean, enhancing the convection. Now, moving on to talk about the mature tropical cyclones, we shall see the key features of a fully developed cyclone. The first one is intensified storms. So, vigorous thunderstorms with rising air spreading horizontally at the tropopause level can be seen. Furthermore, positive pressure at the high altitudes accelerates the descending air, warming it through the compression. Then we have something called the eye of the cyclone, which is a calm, warm center with minimal wind activity. Know that we have different shapes of the eye like the circular, concentric, and elliptical. Then, if we look at the cloud structure, see, concentric bands of highly turbulent cumulus thunderstorms are formed. Interestingly, these are common in regions like the Indian Ocean. Lastly, talking about the modification and decay. So, the cyclones weaken when their energy source, which is the warm, moist air, diminishes. This is called landfall, when the moisture supply is cut off after reaching the land. Furthermore, the cooler ocean temperatures fail to sustain the system. Then what are the effects of weakening? See, the cyclone loses central low pressure, internal warmth, and wind speed. But you have to know that the danger persists even during this stage due to the heavy rains and residual winds. The next article says that NHRC took suo motu cognizance of an incident where a woman in Hyderabad has ended her life allegedly after being sexually harassed. In this context, let us talk about the National Human Rights Commission, in short called the NHRC. See, the NHRC of India was established on 12th October 1993. Notably, the statute under which it was established is the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993, as amended by the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Act of 2006. Know that it is in conformity with the Paris Principles adopted at the first international workshop on national institutions for the promotion and protection of human rights held in Paris in October 1991. Now, what are the functions of the NHRC? See, firstly, it looks into the violation of the human rights or abetment. Secondly, any negligence in the prevention of such violation by a civil servant. Thirdly, to intervene in any proceeding involving any allegation of the violation of human rights pending before a court with the approval of such court. Next, to visit under the intimation to the state government, any jail or any other institution under the control of the state government where the persons are detained or lodged for the purposes of treatment, reformation or protection, to study the living condition of the inmates and make recommendations thereon. Then to review the factors including the acts of terrorism that inhibit the enjoyment of human rights and recommend appropriate remedial measures. Furthermore, to study the treaties and other international instruments on human rights and make recommendations for their effective implementation. Next, to encourage the efforts of non-governmental organizations and institutions working in the field of human rights. Lastly, such other functions as it may consider necessary for the promotion of the human rights. Then, what about the powers of the NHRC? See, under that, if we have to look at the civil code powers, firstly, it can summon and examine witnesses' oath. Secondly, it can request the documents and public records. Thirdly, it can receive evidence via affidavits. Lastly, it can issue commissions for examining witnesses or documents. Then it can suggest compensation for victims of the human rights violations. Furthermore, it can seek the enforcement of human rights in the Supreme Court or the High Courts. And lastly, it can take suo motu cognizance of human rights violations without a formal complaint. The next article says that as the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, in short called the NABARD, has severely cut short the agriculture term limit to Karnataka, Chief Minister called on the Prime Minister in New Delhi on Friday and sought to restore the credit limit to the state by NABARD in the current fiscal year. In this context, we'll talk about the NABARD. See, the NABARD is India's apex development bank established in the year 1982 under an Act of Parliament to promote sustainable and equitable agriculture and rural development. Know that it is a statutory body established in the year 1982 under the Parliament Act, the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development Act of 1981. Notably, NABARD is wholly owned by the Government of India with its head office at Mumbai. Now, what are the functions of NABARD? See, the NABARD is as a pivotal institution of the rural development performs various credit and non-credit functions essential to the development of the agriculture and rural areas. So, these functions can be categorized as non-credit related functions and credit related functions. So, firstly, these are the non-credit related functions. You can have a look. And these are the credit related functions. The next article says that approximately 14 lakh Ayushman Vandana cards have been created for the senior citizens aged 70 and above under the expanded Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana to provide free treatment benefits irrespective of their socio-economic status. In this context, we'll talk about the Ayushman Bharat. See, the Ayushman Bharat is a flagship scheme of the Government India launched as recommended by the National Health Policy of 2017 to achieve the vision of the universal health coverage. Significantly, this initiative has been designed to meet the Sustainable Development Goals and its underlying commitment, which is to leave no one behind. Notably, Ayushman Bharat adopts a continuum of care approach comprising of two interrelated components, which are health and wellness centers and Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Talking about the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, see, the PMJAY is the largest health insurance scheme in the world, launched in the year 2018. So, it aims at providing a health cover of 5 lakh rupees per family per year for the secondary and tertiary care hospitalization to over 12 crore poor and vulnerable families. Furthermore, the households included are based on the deprivation and occupational criteria of the socio-economic caste census of 2011 for the rural and urban areas respectively. Know that PMJAY was earlier known as the National Health Protection Scheme before being rechristened. So it subsumed the then existing Radriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, which had been launched in the year 2008. Notably, PMJAY is fully funded by the government and the cost of implementation is shared between the central and the state governments. Significantly, the National Health Authority has been constituted as an autonomous entity under the Society Registration Act of 1860 for effective implementation of PMJAY in alliance with the state governments. Furthermore, the State Health Agency is the apex body for the state government responsible for implementation of the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana in the state. Also, the accessible at the public and private empaneled hospitals across India. Then, in the year 2024, the Union Cabinet approved a major expansion of the ABPMJAY to provide all senior citizens age 70 and above with free health insurance cover up to 5 lakhs regardless of the income. So if we have to look at the key developments under it, so the senior citizens aged 70 and above will receive free hospital treatment and a separate Ayushman Vandana card under the PMJAY scheme. Then the senior citizens within the ABPMJAY covered families will get an additional top-up to 5 lakh rupees per year exclusive to them without sharing it with other family members under the 70. Then the senior citizens not covered under an existing PMJAY family plan will receive up to 5 lakh per year on their family basis. Furthermore, the senior citizens already enrolled in other public health schemes can choose to continue with their current scheme or switch to ABPMJAY. And lastly, senior citizens with private health insurance or coverage under the employee state insurance scheme are also eligible for the benefits under the PMJAY scheme. The last article of the day says that the Union Finance Ministry on Friday released a consultation paper proposing to raise the foreign direct investment limit in the insurance sector from 74% to 100%. Furthermore, the FDI limit in the insurance sector was previously increased from 49% to 74% in February 2021. In this context, let us talk about the foreign direct investment, in short called the FDI. See, a FDI is an investment made by a firm or individual in one country into business interests located in another. So FDI lets an investor purchase a direct business interest in a foreign country. Some of the common areas include establishing a subsidiary in the other country, acquiring or merging with an existing foreign company, or starting a joint venture partnership with a foreign company. Significantly, apart from being a critical driver of the economic growth, FDI has been a major non-debt financial resource for the economic development of India. Know that it is different from the foreign portfolio investment, where the foreign entity merely buys stocks and bonds of a company. Also, FPI does not provide investor with the control over the business. So there are two routes of FDI. The first one is the automatic route. So in this, the foreign entity does not require the prior approval of the government or the RBI. In India, FDI up to 100% is allowed in the critical sectors through the automatic route, not requiring security clearance from Ministry of Home Affairs. Further, prior government approval or security clearance from MHA is required for the investments in sensitive areas such as defense, media, telecommunications, satellites, private security agencies, civil aviations and mining, besides any investment from Pakistan and Bangladesh. Then we have the government route under which the foreign entity has to take the approval of the government. Furthermore, the foreign investment facilitation portal facilitates a single window clearance for applications which are through approval route. So it is administered by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So in this video, we have discussed 10 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.